You're surrounded by millions of people, yet you have never felt more alone. In a world more connected than ever, why do we feel so isolated? Today we are diving deep into the paradox of modern solitude. Not just what it does to us, but how it's reshaping what it means to be human. Whether you're scrolling to social media at 3 a.m. or sitting alone in a crowded cafe, this story is about you, me, and these spaces between us. Let's explore the power and the price of being alone. Movies like Taxi Driver, Fight Club, or Blade Runner 2049 have gained incredible popularity, becoming iconic in internet culture. They resonate particularly strongly with young males. But why? One main reason is that we are drawn to stories that we can relate to. This movies provides a space for self-exploration through their characters, pointing to an uncomfortable truth. We are facing loneliness epidemic. Such lonely characters seem powerful and independent. They have nothing to lose and they are free. This is the romanticization of solitude. In reality, loneliness is often a heavy burden. It's also a silent problem, one that many people are ashamed to admit. While loneliness in movies often feels mysterious and captivating to some degree, in reality, most lonely people would rather not be lonely. Solitude is for sure a complex concept, one that can't be judged as just positive or negative. On one side, we see drastic consequences of loneliness. For example, people who are lonely live shorter lives. They often struggle to find meaning in their lives and are more prone to depression and anxiety. On the other side, solitude is a necessary condition for creating something meaningful. Writing a book, developing an idea, writing an algorithm, or creating a piece of art all require solitude. It's almost paradoxical. We need to be alone for self-realization, yet others are essential to creating our identity. The problem is that solitude is rarely a choice today. Of course, we can blame the epidemic of loneliness on the internet, especially social media, and other forms of entertainment that don't require human interaction. Every day we have plenty of interactions in the digital world, but they can rarely be called genuine human connections. The observation that we need others is as old as the roots of our culture. Aristotle famously said in Politics, "Man is by nature a social animal. An individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human." It's almost impossible to substitute real face-to-face interaction with others. Yet for some reason, we keep developing technologies that try to do just that. Making friends has certainly become harder today, even if you try not to rely so heavily on the electronic world. It's simply problematic to meet someone in the real world. During breaks at work or university, people very often just stare at their phones or wear headphones, making them unapproachable. In philosophy, we have two great traditions relating to loneliness: existentialism and the philosophy of dialogue. Existentialism often criticizes the effect of others on an individual's authenticity. It suggests that realizing our true self, becoming the best version of ourselves by tuning into our authentic self, is a solitary task. No one can do it for us. In that view, life becomes a lonely journey or a mission. Consider the judgment of others. Jean-Paul Sartre, one of the most recognizable existentialists, famously said, "Hell is other people." This judgment can be framed as the gaze of others. When we try something new in our lives, we will automatically think about what others will think of that. We feel their gaze upon us, even if they are not looking in the literal sense. It's, for example, thinking of what would my parents think of that? And this can have a paralyzing effect, sabotaging meaningful actions that are important to us, but may be controversial for others. And in such scenarios, our self becomes corrupted by the gaze of others. And this suggests that self-realization heavily relies on solitude. Because for one to grow and realize their authenticity is to be disconnected from others. And think about social media, for example. Yeah, I'm a social media hater. We curate ourselves for an imagined audience, comparing our lives to the idealized versions others present. And this creates a paradox. Despite being more connected than ever, we feel more isolated. Social media turns solitude into something heavier, amplifying our insecurities and shaping us in ways that are often beyond our control. And if you enjoyed the existential perspective on solitude and loneliness, check out our 2025 reading challenge. Just by sheer coincidence, our book of the month in January is The Stranger by Albert Camus. In this book, topic of solitude and the relation with others is central. If you want to know more, check this video of mine where I talk all the details about the challenge. And consider subscribing to our Substack newsletter dedicated to this challenge. Okay, back to the video. And on the opposite end stands the philosophy of dialogue, championed by thinkers like Martin Buber and Emmanuel Levinas. This tradition argues that our authentic selfhood emerges not in isolation, but through genuine encounters with others. Buber's famous I and thou relationship suggests that the true human existence occurs in the space between people, in dialogue, in genuine connection. According to this view, solitude isn't the path to authenticity, but rather a temporary state that prepares us for meaningful interactions with others. The philosopher of dialogue would argue that we discover ourselves not by turning inward, but by opening ourselves to authentic relationships with others. Even our internal dialogue, self-reflection, is shaped by the languages and concepts we learned through the interactions with others. This perspective suggests that our current crisis of loneliness isn't just a social problem, it's an existential problem. When we lose meaningful dialogue with others, we don't just lose companionship, we lose a fundamental way of understanding ourselves and our place in the world. There's one ultimate experience in our lives that is impossible to experience in solitude. One that for many is the greatest goal of their lives. I'm talking, of course, about love. It's through love that we transcend our isolation, forming bonds that affirm our humanity. Without love, solitude becomes something darker, a reminder of what's missing, a gap in our identity. Love surely cannot exist in a total solitude. It requires another, a thou, to our I. And yet in solitude we often find ourselves yearning for love, while feeling unable to reach for it. And love is also one of the main topics in the movies about loneliness. The protagonist is often looking for love, but is unable to reach for it. They are trapped in their own world, unable to meaningfully connect with others. Given the philosophical ground that we have laid, we should always consider whether love will grow or degrade our authenticity. Love is truly an act of courage, because we cannot experience it without risking our true self, as the other person will become an inherent part of our identity. Of course, we could say that the true love, by definition, will never degrade our true self, that it will always make you grow. But at the beginning, of course, we can't know whether this love will be a true love. Therefore, love always requires risking our true self. And the lack of love is truly one of the biggest problems of the loneliness epidemic. Fewer and fewer people today have meaningful relationships. They are unable to form deep bonds with others. And that's a problem because, as we said before, we are social animals. We need others to grow, to develop, and to be happy. So we have created an image of loneliness based on young people. But surely that's not entirely true. The loneliness epidemic touches both younger and older generations, just in different ways. And think about the elderly. They are often left alone. Their children live far away, and they are unable to form deep bonds with others. What's even worse, they are often not proficient in using new technologies that young people relies on. So they are unable to connect with others in the digital world too. They often feel detached, as if the world doesn't need them anymore. We often portray older people as those who already had their time in life. They already had their chance to grow and advance. But that's not true. Growth and self-realizations are always, for the whole life, at the top of the hierarchy of needs. And the lack of love and connection is surely a problem for them as well. Their goals might be totally different, but not less important. It's hard to romanticize elderly loneliness in any sense. They don't seek freedom, independence, or a quiet place to create. Near the end of our lives, we all seek connection with other people. Solitude is a part of life, but it doesn't have to define it. By understanding its effects on our identity, relationships, and sense of self, we can learn to navigate it, and perhaps even transform it. Sometimes we need solitude. Sometimes it's a curse. We are social animals, and for sure loneliness became a social problem today, touching both younger and older generations, just in different ways. In a world that feels more isolated than ever, this understanding might just be the connection we need. And that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in the topic of solitude, check our Reading Challenge 2025. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a like and a subscription if you want to see more content like this in the future. And the topic of this video was actually suggested by one of the viewers in the comment section. I read the comment section, so don't be shy to leave your comment there. Thank you once again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.